answer the question.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Shamir. We have had two fascinating and thought-provoking presentations. We would like to open the floor now for a discussion. So we'll have a first round of comments, questions. Please. Yes, sir.
The Prime Minister says that the Western countries which are negotiating nowadays with Iran, P5+1, take a rather soft position towards the issues that have to be resolved. I would like to have your opinion on this, please.
We have to repeat on that, actually. Let's take another two, and then we'll just, yes, please. And could you speak up? Sorry, I mean, can she have the mic or something? תן לה את ה... אתה תוכל לתת לה את זה, בבקשה? Just a minute. We are going to just provide you with a mic so everybody could just hear the law. Okay, can you, sorry. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
And can you repeat your question? Yeah, sure. Thanks.
I was interested in knowing your opinion regarding the position that the Western nations who are negotiating nowadays with Iran, that happens to be, in Netanyahu's view, a rather soft position. And I would like to know what your ideas are with respect to his opinion on this issue.
And one last comment for this round, please. Anybody else? Yes, sir, please.
I have two questions, particularly for Mr. Dagan. First one is how naive is the international community believing that the Iranians are going to show everything they have? And the second one, which could be a little bit touchy, is as head of the Mossad and with the intelligence that you have about everything, should there be a period where the Mossad head should not discuss those things internationally, openly to the public? Could it hurt the standing of the Israeli government?
Sure. Mr. Dagan, would you please do... Next round.
I will I'll try to answer your question, and I will answer all the questions that I was asked. I was never discussing, ever, any operational point of view. I was discussing an issue that is related to a very serious question: is Israel, in what condition Israel should go to war? I think that such a question should be raised always. And I am, as a graduate of the Yom Kippur War, when nobody was putting question marks on those issues, and I'm fearing that if maybe such an issue will be raised and discussed, maybe we could, I'm not sure about it, prevent or save some lives in this aspect. Then I was never dealing with any aspects of secrecy. I was speaking about the principle and what cases Israel should be involved and find itself in a war. I think the heart and soul of democracy is a free discussion. And the question of war and peace is one of those issues. Why should it be different from the issue of the Palestinian issue? And the Palestinian issue is discussed in the Israeli society about peace, and those are opposing it and those who are for it, openly in every aspect. Let me remind you that in the war in Lebanon, it was a free discussion, during and even after. And I think that even in this case, Israel is resilient enough and strong enough that such a debate is not going to hurt the interests of the country. Do I trust the Iranian? The answer is no. I think that the Iranian will try to hide as much as possible. But from the other hand, I believe they learned a very hard lesson that everything that they tried to hide was presented into the open. In some cases, it was done by the Iranian opposition. In some cases, it was done as a result of the efforts of the intelligence services around the world. Then I believe that we, the community in the world, probably, I'm not sure that we'll have a previous warning about every aspect of it, but in general terms, we'll know the process or direction of change in the Iranian thinking. I think that those aspects could not be hidden. The soft approach, I agree with the Prime Minister that I would like personally to see a much harder approach to the Iranian issue, because what the Iranians are doing, they are stalling time. But from the other hand, I cannot rule out the possibility that those countries are trying to look for every possible way less than war. Then I can have some feelings to an approach that will present all other options before using force. Is it a little bit a soft approach? I agree with the Prime Minister that in many cases on the Iranian issue, and because they're trying to stall time, the approach is too soft. I think that a much more direct approach and threatening the most important interests of the Iranian, not only the economy, but not only the project, but first of all the regime itself, could lead to, I feel, to better results in the discussion between the West and Iran.
Thank you. Professor Shamir, please. Just.
Well, Egypt, Israel. The Arab Spring in general, and in Egypt in particular, caused many concerns in Israel. It is a reason for worries. There used to be a school of thought in this country, to which I never belonged, that said, peace with authoritarian regimes is not real peace. We should wait till the time when these neighboring countries become democracies, and then there will be a genuine peace between the people of Israel and the people of the neighboring countries. This is highly idealistic, but not realistic. The publics in the Arab countries have been subjected to anti-Israeli populist propaganda for such a time that if you don't have there a leadership that is dedicated to peace with Israel because of their understanding of the interests of their countries, it is very difficult to maintain peaceful relations. Without a Sadat and without a Hussein, there wouldn't have been a peace between Israel and Egypt and peace between Israel and Jordan. These are the hard facts in this situation. The more popular and populist the political systems become, the more challenges are to Israel there. Certainly, when Islamist movements are unleashed, it is clear that for these movements, animosity to Israel and to the West in general is an inherent part of their outlook. So Israel should observe developments very cautiously and with great sensitivity about the outcome. Now, what do the candidates in Egypt say? They say clearly that they are going to honor the peace treaty between their countries. That Egypt, as a civilized country, must respect all its international commitments. None of them speak about terminating the peace treaty relations between the two countries. But they say also other things. They say, for example, that the military annex, the security annex of the peace treaty should be reopened because, as they had already claimed when they were in opposition, this treaty actually put limitations on the Egyptian sovereignty in Sinai, and therefore this must be reconsidered and renegotiated. In the Muslim Brotherhood, we hear also voices who are saying, we of course shall respect the peace treaty as long as the Israelis respect it, but the Israelis are violating the peace treaty. In other words, some of the important personalities in this movement prepare the ground for reconsidering the treaty itself. These are the things that threaten the peace treaty as it stands now. I think that this is my personal view, that reopening the security annex is a reasonable request. The security arrangements had existed for 31 years, and the peace treaty itself makes it possible for reviewing articles of this treaty with the consent of both parties. I think what Israel should do is now to prepare a plan for introducing changes in Sinai that would make it possible also for the Egyptians to control that dangerous part of the country better, and to make it clear what are the red lines of Israel, the things that Israel will not change and cannot change without harming their security. Of course, dialogue now with the United States is vital. The peace treaty between Israel and Egypt is a tripartite agreement. The United States is signed on that treaty. And therefore, the involvement of the United States in this area is important. And it also refers to some more specific aspects of the relations between Israel and Egypt. In Egypt, for quite some time, we have the arrangement, which is called the qualified industrial zones, based on a tripartite agreement between the United States, Egypt, and Israel, which allows products of Egyptian industrial zones to be accepted into the United States without quotas and without customs. This is an arrangement that was very helpful to the Egyptian economy. There are hundreds of thousands of people who are employed on that basis. It increased their export. And of course, the condition for that is Israeli input into the production of those industrial zones. This is a very important arrangement, and it's very important to safeguard it, to make sure that it will continue. This is an area of cooperation that is good to all sides. So this is an example to one of the things that Israel should focus on. And above all, I would say it's very important that Israeli politicians will not make statements that are provocative and do not help our relationship.
Thank you, Shimon. We basically ran out of time. Sorry for that. And the organizers actually are requesting to end up this colloquium or symposia. Let me just follow up on what we have said now. Maybe we should take just a short two other comments. Basically, I think that I couldn't agree more with Mr. Dagan. I really think that Iran is in a bad shape, socio-economically, politically speaking, acrimonious relations between Khamenei and Ahmadinejad, definitely deteriorating conditions when it comes to the economy. But one should bear in mind two simple facts. 2012 has proved that sanctions could work. And it is there. We are going to Moscow. This time, we know what we have in mind in the 1st of July is the oil embargo. If oil embargo is being put to the effect on Iran, it means that 1 million barrels a day, Iran should find kind of a new buyer for 1 million barrels, oil barrels a day. This is something that could be very hard and harsh and very damaging to Iranian economy. If we take all this, I would say, and I dare say, that this is the lowest ebb or the most acute situation Iran had ever experienced since 1979. So we have to have that in mind while talking to Iran and Moscow. I would rather ask Mr. Dagan what would be considered as best or good outcome of these talks as regards to Israel. What would be kind of a thing Israel could live with, or maybe the West. This is something that is pretty important. I think that we are getting closer to kind of a crossroads, as we said, and this is why we have decided to focus in the symposia on these two issues, Iran and Egypt. Egypt is a different story, of course. I agree with what Professor Shamir said, of course, but I think that in general, one should take into account that this is becoming a tougher Middle East for Israel. We don't have the pillars we used to have. There is no Mubarak in Egypt. Turkey is being run in a different way by Erdogan. I think that it is high time for Israel to become or to come up with what I would call a more creative strategy with which to better understand the changing region. And this is why we always say that the best thing to do is to come to Tel Aviv University, have Middle Eastern studies in our departments, our research centers. This is high time for us to start learning the Middle East and to just better understand the rhythm of this unique region. We could talk a lot about things. I'm really sorry for that because organizers are there and they're going to kill me if I'm going to speak more about the Middle East. Let me thank our distinguished guests. Thank you for coming to the Gandel Symposium this year. I wish you an enjoyable stay in Israel. Thank you. Bye-bye.
היה מעניין מאוד.